Bad dialogue can kill a book faster than a misplaced comma, a spelling error, or some really overused tropes. If your dialogue sucks, your characters are probably going to feel fake or completely interchangeable. Neither of those are things you want in your book. But writing good dialogue is probably easier than you think because you probably do it every single day. In fact, for me, writing dialogue is perhaps the easiest or one of the easiest things for writing for me. Action scenes and things like that are actually a lot more difficult for me than dialogue, because dialogue comes kind of naturally. And with dialogue, you can actually break some of your writing rules. It's kind of that way because I'm not necessarily the one that's writing it. Now, before you run away because I'm about to say some cliche, the characters write it yourself kind of crap, hold on a moment. For this, I'm going to give you 3 quick tips for how to write dialogue that have helped me personally write dialogue, as well as an exercise at the end of this that I like to do just when I'm really starting out in writing characters to make sure that they make sense as that specific character. Number 1, avoid small talk. Most of us hate small talk anyway, and if you hate doing it, why would you want to read it? Why would you be interested in an awkward and stilted conversation between 2 characters about the weather? Unless the weather happens to be Sharknado, and then it's probably not gonna be stilted. Oh fuck, that's a shark is a little bit more than, oh hey, it's kind of chilly out, isn't it? It's a little bit cold. Dialogue is often very full of emotion. It's anxiety, fear, horror. Why am I starting out with all the negative emotions? Passion, excitement, joy. There are tons of different emotions that will be more and more evocative from your characters' mouths themselves. So yes, while there is a time and place for small talk, and you may even use it in some very specific dialogue settings, you can mostly skip it. Number 2, your characters can and probably will lie. Believe it or not, humans don't always tell the truth. We don't always say what we're thinking. This isn't always nefarious either. Sometimes we can withhold information or say something completely different from what we're thinking due to anxiety, due to concerns, fear, or just plain manners. Your dialogue should be authentic, and your characters are probably going to lie at least sometimes, or at the absolute very least, if they are this upstanding truth-telling person, maybe they'll omit some information, or at least not express every single emotion. Keep the dialogue closer to what you would expect to get from someone else in a direct conversation. I can't lie! Number 3, make sure that your characters stand out. And no, I'm not just talking about their, some really thick accents, some catchphrases, or speech patterns, although those are all things that you should definitely look into and explore within reason for your own writing. What I'm talking about here is that the characters, when they're talking, and the way that they present themselves in a dialogue scene, is representative of that character themselves, trying to make sure that they act consistently. A character who is mousy and struggles to speak up is probably not going to be in the very next scene yelling and demanding attention. That's not really how it works. You work up to that unless you break. I've done that before. A character that keeps their soapbox handy and likes to express all of their opinions is probably going to struggle to be quiet. Dialogue is a great way to start differentiating your characters. Actions that they would do and the things they would say need to mesh. This helps make them believable. And that doesn't mean that they have to be honest. Going back to that first one, characters do lie. That doesn't mean a character's actions and what they say have to be exactly the same. But if you have a character that is consistently saying one thing and doing something else, that also is a character trait, but you're at least doing it consistently, and it's something that that specific character is doing. So then it would be a little bit more of an antithesis if that character did the thing, honest thing. And yes, of course, your characters can stray from this because that's what humans do anyway, but try and make it make sense when they do. The character, that mousy character from the beginning, the one that is struggling to speak up, what is it that made them break and just let out this long monologue? What made that finally happen? And when you find that, that makes it all the more important. Now, at the outset of this video, I mentioned an exercise on how to get a little bit better with dialogue. And really, this is more of an exercise on how to find your character in dialogue. What I like to do when I'm first starting out writing, when I'm, really just discovering who the characters are, I like to just write out a whole thing of dialogue with tags and everything, and then remove all the tags, get rid of every name, everything that would indicate who someone is based off of physical appearance or actions, and just look at the words, the spoken words, and then go through it again and say, can I pick out which one of these is who? And no, this isn't going to work for every single dialogue. This isn't going to work for every single character, but it is a good way to find out if you are writing characters in a way where you can, as the author, pick them out a little bit. Hell, you know what? One more exercise to do. Read it out loud. Read the dialogue out loud. You should read out your whole book out loud. It's going to be very helpful to you, especially in editing. But when you're doing dialogue, read it out loud and make sure it sounds like words that people would say. Write it, speak it, and then rewrite it if it sounds like you wrote it. My name is Mark Moore. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon.